Welcome to Unapologetically Badass, the podcast for women over 40 who are done dimming their light. I'm your host, Renee Fleming, coach, queen, and master of the midlife glow up. Solo chats, epic guests, no filter. Let's freaking go. Hello there, everyone. Welcome again to Unapologetically Badass podcast. I am Renee Fleming. I'm so excited to have this next brilliant guest with us. This is something that's really going to be a different show, but I know is so important, and so many of us need to hear Hana Omori's story. So, Hana, thank you so much for joining us. You recently we got connected through IAOTP, right? So tell us about that. Tell us how you got connected to them first and who you are.
Sure. Basically, a bit of background. So I was in marketing search engine algorithms for most of my career, like pretty much the majority of it. And then in the last year, I ended up experiencing a series of severe cyber attacks that were going on since December of last year.
Personally, right? Personally, not.
Yeah, personally.
Yep. Okay.
Yeah. Although for me, I honestly think that no matter what with hacking, it's always personal.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, because it's like affecting your life so in so many ways, because it's our lives are so digital now. Mm-hmm. But basically through that process, I saw a situation. I thought, well, this is a horrible place to be, but I can either let this destroy my business and everything that I'm doing and just like take over everything, or I can see it as an opportunity, because I come from this search engine background where all we did was study abstract algorithm theory and trying to understand how to make sense of patterns out of nothing, essentially, with studying the Google algorithm. So I just treated the hackers like they were my new algorithm. And I spent the entire year basically just documenting as much as I could about the attacks, understanding the patterns of how they did things, understanding like how they were getting into places, and pretty much just applying that methodology towards cybersecurity. And that allowed me to really delve into some serious research as I went through that process. The thing with modern day hacking is that it's all run mostly like it's humans are in the background, but they send AIs that are hacking you essentially.
And what got hacked?
It started off being at a network level. So they were just like inside, like with Wi-Fi and like my computers and stuff like that. But it spread out to being like all the phones, every device, like my cameras in my house, everything pretty much. Yeah. So I had to really reconfigure a lot about the way that my life worked. Even today, like I don't use open Wi-Fi in my house currently.
Did they like gain access to your banking
Yeah, there was that as well. So it started off in December of last year. There was the Salt Typhoon attack, which was through like North Korea and China, I believe is the reported information on it. And that was right after the SMS problem where like all of our text messages were basically leaked. So I had bank fraud last December, loan fraud in the fall, and then mail fraud, tax fraud, and it was like they took the PIN ID that I needed to do my taxes, like that type of stuff.
Wow.
Just general identity theft. But it manifested in a lot of different ways, between like the social engineering attacks, which are mostly like psychological, where they send people in to try to befriend you online or in person even. And then those people are kind of like set up or like inserted into your life to do these types of things.
Wow. Okay. So you just hit on something. So when you said you get these like friend requests, or get these people, how do they then get your stuff? Like, say somebody sent me a friend request on Facebook and I didn't know them, but I was like, oh, maybe they want to do business with me, and I accept.
It's with social engineering. A lot of it is them trying to get your information so that they can do identity theft with it. And so, and I don't know that I necessarily befell the exact scams I just reported on LinkedIn with the bank fraud stuff, but it's like that where AI and technology is so sophisticated now that they can spoof like who's calling you. If they can get into your phone, which it's so easy to get into phones these days, then they can pretty much see that you got a text message, like send you a text message that seems like it's from your bank, then call you and spoof their ID so it looks like it's your bank when you were expecting a call from your bank, and really line up the timing of everything so that you're really not able to foresee the situation of what's happening. And then it was in different methods. A lot of it's like LinkedIn, like people would connect or comment or DM me, or we get into a like conversation about business things, and then they would set up a meeting. And then if I click into the link to join the meeting, then it would attack my computer from like going on that link. Or like there was a lot of like SMS like links being sent, and I had a problem with this thing called polyglots, which are like if someone just texts you an image and you don't know who the number is, it's just like a random image. That image will then contain the malware in it, and you can't really prevent that. So there's a lot of issues on the mobile side that are really non-defensible, unfortunately. I'm an Android user for like most of my life because Google owns Android, and as a tech SEO, they would test their algorithm updates with an Android interface first.
Okay.
So I had to have one for work, but they're actually far less secure than iPhones in modern days. Like the newest iPhone I just got, iPhone 17, it's been a trip switching back for so many years, but it is definitively much safer. There's these things called Stingrays, which are basically like you can buy like a $300 device, have it out in any public location. It's illegal to do this, but there's no one really taking care of this problem. So people can just put these things anywhere around, and then your cell phone will automatically connect to it because it'll pretend to be a cell phone tower. So you'll be on your phone. Your phone seems completely fine. There's no indications on the phone that would say that anything's different, but the tower that your phone is connecting to is a spoofed tower. So then they're inside your phone immediately, and that's like from outside your house. I think it's in about a quarter mile to a half mile radius. So you can't do anything to protect yourself like from those at all. Pretty much, you just have to. I haven't found a solution on the Android side. Supposedly, like with the way that iPhones are built, and I've been trying to test this best I can. You have a lot less view into like the back end of how iPhones work compared to Android, so I can't see as in depth, but it seems to be true that iPhones are Stingray resistant and can't be hacked in the same way. So the problem was that I had identified one of these in my area, and I couldn't do anything about it. Like I reported it to the FCC and I did the proper channels, but you can't do anything about it, because the other thing about them is like you don't know, like there's a legal context where these are used, but there's no way to determine, like if someone's running a police investigation in your area and there's one in the area, you don't know if it's for that, or you don't know if it's like a rogue one that's just put up by a criminal. You have no idea to determine that. So the way I was able to find it is I had seen some weird activity at like 2 a.m. Someone put something up on a light pole. I happened to notice. I was like out getting my house together for the night, and I got it on video. I just like thought it was weird that they were doing it in the middle of the night. And then the next day, I actually have my own. So I have the technology that you can use to create said hack, but I'm not a criminal, so I use it for protection. And I used my shortwave digital radio technology to triangulate the signals from the one that's in front of the house. So I was able to identify that it was located at the point where the light pole is, exactly where I saw them put something. And I tracked it over like 60 days to get confirmation that it was in the same location every single day. And so there's just like stuff like that happening. I think people, and again, you just don't have any visibility to know like who it's from or what it is or what it's doing. But since I've had the iPhone, my issues with hacking and weird stuff has decreased significantly.
Okay, well, that's good to know, because I have my iPhone and I'm a Mac girl, so
yeah.
I do like the way they all communicate together. So that's why I like my Apple. So what about the computer? Because like people, we think, whether it's Apple or it's, people have McAfee, they have Microsoft, like whatever the defense, how do we know, or how do we know that we're safe, or are we not?
Well, so in the cybersecurity community, they literally have a term that's like their number one term these days, which is zero trust. So you should just never assume you're safe, kind of, but it's not, that's terrifying to hear and to think about. But I think that a lot of the issues that are like systemic within our overall, like our country's security and like regionally, et cetera, like down to the individual, are things that happened because there were steps that were skipped in the process of like we advanced technology so quickly and we didn't think about all the little spaces and gaps that we were leaving.
Okay.
And there was not enough, or really, I mean, definitely in my experience as a person who formerly wasn't in cybersecurity, there wasn't ever any urgency or indication to make you think that you should be like taking these things seriously and getting educated on them. And so I think that people just got really complacent with that. And it just left open a lot of gaps where you just don't realize that the other side of the technology, the bad side, has advanced far further than an average person. And in the past, it used to be that they didn't, you know, if you weren't like a really wealthy person or a CEO of some massive company, or you didn't really have to worry about this. You're not going to get a ransomware attack if you're not a bank or something. Like they
Right.
get after the big whales, so they say. But the problem is that now that AI makes everything scalable, it's super easy for a hacker to set up a bunch of what they call a botnet, like a bunch of little computers or devices all attacking groups of people or regions of people. And they just have to set it and forget it. They don't have to do any extra action.
Wow.
It'll run the whole scam. It'll do all that in the background automated. So now it's kind of like, rather than going after the big fish and trying to take these giant cash loads, they're just like, well, let's just hit 1 million people with not very much money and then individually take them all. So that's kind of where I think when we see like the bank scams and stuff picking up, that's kind of more indicators of that activity expanding, unfortunately.
Oh my gosh, that's scary. And especially like we hear so many scams for like senior citizens, and you and I were talking about women being such a huge target
Yep.
for this, right?
Main groups that are targeted, it's women, LGBTQ, and minorities are the three biggest targets.
Wow. That's frightening. And AI, I mean, I know AI can do a lot of good, but it's really scary. So what do people do? Like what are what are the signs that they look out for?
Yeah, so I think it depends on how you're being hacked, but definitely the main thing that you want to do is, if you can, like if you're on a device, say you have like an Android and a Mac and I haven't found a good way to do this on iPhone yet. I'm not sure if that Apple offers it, but they have the most secure product, so arguably it's a little less urgent. But the main thing is you want to be collecting the log data from your devices to know what's happening. So every
I'm good at like collecting data.
Yeah, sorry, you broke up a little bit there. I think you're.
I'll be back.
Okay.
Yeah. So what do you mean by us collecting our own data?
Yeah, so pretty much you can use open source tools. One of them is called Wireshark, Wireshark, and that is basically just a free tool that you can run when you're online with your devices to be able to just have the data from the activity. But if you're on a Mac, and that's open source and it works for Mac, Windows, and Linux, that tool. But if you're on a Mac, also another thing that I've learned over this year is that if you don't have active log collection going, you can also, I'm going to wait for it to come back. Or maybe I'll just finish the statement.
That is so weird.
No worries.
So, okay, so we're talking about like getting attacked, cyber attacked, and in the middle of our conversation, this connection goes completely down and had to that's just gave me like the goosebumps. I don't know what happened. I didn't lose internet. I still have like.
Yeah.
That was just weird.
Yeah, it's sometimes these things are like, the problem with it is it's hard to not be paranoid once you're like really in the mindset.
Yeah.
You kind of like have to be a little bit, but I think the way I treat it is like once is coincidence, twice is kind of more confirmation.
Yeah.
These things, but we'll chalk that up to coincidence for now.
Right, right. That was just such a weird thing though. Like that was just ironic.
Yeah. I mean, honestly though, like they don't want me getting this information out. And I know that because like as I like, so me being vocal with blogging about it over the year, definitely, like, there were times if I put out something really good that they didn't really want, that I knew was like a hot button for them, they would go after me harder because they knew, like, they don't want this information to be out because it stops all their crime. So
Yeah.
what I have been saying before we got cut off really quickly was you can use Wireshark to just collect the logs, and that way, if you have something weird happen on your computer, you can check your logs. You don't have to do anything with them. It's like a bunch of data, but load it into an AI that's trained in cybersecurity, or even just a regular AI, and you can cross-reference, like, what activities were you doing at that time that aren't normal for what activities were existing on your computer. And there's a lot of open source tools out there available for Mac and otherwise that can do more advanced versions of this. But generally, the main thing is just like start collecting your data, make sure you have those things running if you can. And on a Mac, another thing you can do if you don't have Wireshark running is if you do system diagnostics out of your activity monitor tool, that's like a massive place to be able to just extract the data, because then it also sees, like, okay, what were you doing on the computer at the time, and then like what was happening in the background. That's like the main thing, is like people being able to sneak into aspects of your computer through websites that you frequent, if it's like a watering hole attack or like different ways. And I think the main thing is really just start off with just having the vigilance of paying attention, be aware that it's like you're kind of, even though it feels like you're in a safe environment, that things just happen. And so you just want to have the data being collected so that you know if it happens like earlier. But I think the thing with it that's really interesting is that everybody really needs to almost like, and it would be better too in general with security if everybody really took it as like building their own custom system to what they need. And so that's the approach that I took, is where if I'm like, okay, I use XYZ apps every day and I know how the way that they should run when they're working normally is, then we do this thing, or the industry calls it the principle of least privilege, where like if you don't need to have access to something, or your computer to have access to something, disable it. If you're not using it, disable it. And that's like the main.
What do you mean disable what? Give me an example.
So one example for this definitely on Mac is like AirDrop, for example. So like if you're not at home, and generally your computer should be off if you're not at home, but if you're not actively using AirDrop between your phone and your computer, like at that moment, you should have it turned off by default unless you're using it. So
really?
Yeah, similar with like Bluetooth on your computer. Like it's basically just, if you're not actively using it, just don't have it turned on, because those little backdoors are the ways that they get in. And then on a more deep technical level, if you get like a firewall tool, you can actually choose which apps on your computer are able to connect to the internet. So the way I do it is like whatever apps I'm working on are the ones that have access to the internet. If I'm not working on that app, I disable it. It's blocked. So like even if someone's trying to sneak in backdoor through that app, they can't, because it's disabled. And It's annoying to do things that way. I'm actually working on another tool that's going to make this hopefully more user friendly for people that just aren't trying to be like crazy tech savvy about how they do it. But
so
right
like
now,
people like me, I keep my computer on.
Yeah.
All the time. My computer, my laptop, it's on 24 hours a day. I might have the laptop closed, but it's on. And on my computer and laptop, I have 2 operating systems. I have it open under multiple email accounts with about 25 tabs open on each one. Am I like the perfect prime example of?
Well, I think you're an example of like most people. Like, and it's like, that's the thing. I was the exact same way. Yeah, like a year ago, I did the same thing. That's what I'm saying. It's like, I don't think that anyone, like, if you're thinking like, oh, I'm really not safe, it's like, I don't think you should like look at it as like a negative thing. It's just you're uninformed because there hasn't been enough information about this out in the public. Like the industry is very good at knowing all the ins and outs of the details and all. It's super organized in terms of the way that they have everything structured. But the issue is just that it isn't reaching individual people. It's only reaching at a business level. And historically, it didn't need to reach individual people because that's not how hackers worked. But now with things changing, that's where I'm kind of taking on the mission best I can myself to say, like, I went through this crazy experience that changed a lot about who I am as a person, to be honest. But like I've learned so much, and I've been able to gain a skill set where now I can help other people. And that's like, in marketing, that was the thing that always was hard for me is being so removed from feeling like my work was impactful. Like, it's great that you're like, oh, I'm managing this algorithm. It's like, but like,
Yeah.
that's okay. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Maybe if there was a nonprofit that I helped rank higher for something that got them more donations or something, but like, that's not direct. So I looked at it as something where like, okay, I can take the reins here and try to help people because I have the exact experience down to the identity theft and fraud of like how these things start, how they progress, how to fight back. Because a lot of the time too, I think with hackers is that they want to, I don't know if it's always like, sometimes they're just in it for the money. Sometimes it's ideological. It depends on the hacker. So if they're holding on to attacking somebody for a long time, even when it hasn't yielded them any profit, it's probably more on the ideological side. And so, but I have noticed that regardless of what my particular hackers' motivations were, as I've been like advancing my skill set and knowing how to protect myself, and then also as I've been more, I've been very vocal about the fact that I call them my like involuntary content marketing team because they give me, every time they attack me, I have a new case study.
Yeah.
So, and a new defense strategy. So I think at a certain point they realized that if they kept attacking me, it was only going to be hurting their ability to attack anybody else. So they've laid off me a little bit. Another part of that is because of the iPhone upgrade and the fact that my network is now secure, which has been the biggest game changer of the year for me, was getting like higher network security. And that's something that to me, it seemed like it was like a bear to try to deal with, but it was actually really not that hard. It was just my own like brain telling me it was going to be too hard to figure out. But once I did it and I took the time to get it set up the way that I wanted, it's not that I'm in a perfect situation, but it's like the amount of attacks has probably decreased like 70% since the summer.
So how would somebody who knows nothing, like me, knows nothing about that language, it is foreign to me, how would I go about ensuring that my network is safer?
Well, so there's a lot of different like custom or like network routing tools that you can get. This one I have here, I'm going to try to pull it in front of the screen. It's kind of like dangling off to the side, but oh no, it's going to go in the green screen. But it's called a firewall at Purple, and it is I can put firewalla, FIREWALLA.
Okay.
And they have a whole bunch of different products. I went with this one because I wanted something that's like a little bit on the higher end, but it's still only like, I think it was like $220 at max. It's not crazy expensive. And then I set up something. So right now I mentioned I don't use Wi-Fi in my home. That's partially because like for me with the Stingray out front and I had like people doing local attacks on me last year, because unfortunately like hackers are kind of everywhere. They're not like just in one country over there. They're like also locally sometimes. So they had set up attacks on my Wi-Fi system. So I don't use Wi-Fi in my home now, but I have everything set up on Ethernet, which is way safer because what I can do is set up something called a VLAN, which lets me isolate it. So basically it means that my computer on the internet can't talk to my Amazon Fire Stick on the internet and vice versa.
Oh, wow.
My IoTs that are very vulnerable, places where people will attack you from, cannot attack me because I have this set up this way. And that sounds like it's a really complicated thing, but it's just, honestly, it's a lot of jargon, but the ideas of, or like the way to set this up is something that you could easily just explain to an AI what you want, and it would give you every step exactly how to do it. And pretty much just help you configure the whole thing. I think that it's not like, it still would take like it does take effort. It's not like it's simple, but it's still something that if you really wanted to figure out how to do it for yourself, you could probably do it in like a couple days if you really wanted to. But I'm also offering as part of my consultancy, a service to just allow people to contact me if they want to talk about how they can get a custom security setup that fits to their work life digital needs, basically. Yeah. Like I can help them set up a custom thing that's not just using one device, but we actually want to do what's called defense in depth, which means that we're adding more security at different layers. So this device is protecting me at a network layer. We're going to have another type of app or device that'll protect you at an application layer, and so on and so forth, so that you can make sure that you can do everything you want to do on your computer, but there's no back doors sitting open for anybody to come in, or we can close as many as possible.
Yeah. Oh, that's great. And you've been working on something too, right? You want to share what you're working on?
Yeah, so I've got a few different products in the works right now. Last summer, I was tracking Well, I was tracking the weird, just some weird stuff I was seeing on my Wi-Fi from open networks that were in the area. And I realized that one of them was like an energy measurement system. And so I built this thing that created like ambient EMF. It would just like cast out electromagnetic frequencies in certain patterns so that if anyone was trying to use that system, it would not be able to read my area correctly. Because basically, people can use Wi Fi kind of like sonar if they want.
Wow.
And so that would disrupt that.
Yeah.
And it was kind of like, that's a really edge case. Like, no one's gonna, you shouldn't expect that these things are everywhere. This is like a $30,000 machine. And it was
Yeah.
probably just around because of AT&T being in the area. But I
Mhm.
just, even so, I took it as an opportunity. Like, how would I solve this problem if I was faced with this? So that's not something everyday people should expect. But the long and short of it is, I realized that in general, we have ambient Wi-Fi signals, phone signals, Bluetooth all around us all the time, just like floating in the air. And it is basically like a randomizer algorithm for the actual real world. So one of the best encryption services in the country, CrowdStrike, they use like a series of lava lamps to create randomness so that people can't predict like what their sequences are, so no one can hack them because it's constantly changing. And so since our existing digital spaces are the same way where we have random waves of stuff moving around us anyways, I use that to create a new type of encryption where you can secure your home so that nobody outside of your home can create the same signal outside of it. It's unique to your space.
Wow. And that's an app?
Yeah, so that's where it started. I then ended up using that method inside of an app called Chaos Lock, which lets you use both audio and EMF to create randomization in your space, and then it'll be custom to you. So whatever you want, that's nobody else will be able to recreate that signal. And then what it does is it locks your folders in place. So it encrypts your data so that nobody else can basically get into it if they were trying to get into your machine. And it's based on, you can just use any USB in your house to run this. It doesn't require any special software. If you want to go like all the way to using like the highest levels, like the most randomization in your encryption, you want to go like extreme, you can buy the hardware pieces to facilitate that. But if you just want to be basic, you can just use a USB in your computer and audio and basically create it for yourself. And then the idea is that it's air gapped, which means that the USB, if disconnected, those files are locked. And so nobody can get into your stuff without having a physical device. So it kind of brings back like the old school lock and key style to your computer, where you can lock your computer so that if you're not back with the USB, nobody else can get into it. And
then if we lose the USB, we are screwed.
Well, I have recovery. I'm working on recovery.
Okay. Yeah.
The idea is that, like, this is actually originally how crypto worked. So everything was on hardware only. And looking at the numbers, so I know that we love to like hope and pray that cloud is secure, but looking at the crypto numbers, the amount of crypto theft that occurred after it had cloud options compared to when it didn't is like astronomically higher. So it's more like for people that it's not that if you want to use a cloud recovery, you absolutely can. But for people that are just really hardcore about it and they just want it to all be offline entirely, then they don't have to. And so that's just an option that wasn't available that I thought people would want to have access to.
How do we not use the cloud? Because that's always scary. Like I did it because I was like, I think I have to. But that's scary knowing I don't know where the hell it is or who is going to have access to any of it.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's just that, again, like things kind of like grew and then the security side of it didn't necessarily pace with the way that it evolved. But I just wanted to make something that was as analog as possible, because the other part of it is that when you're doing a cloud setup, you have to be online when you do that setup. So the idea with this is that you can run it completely offline.
Great.
So you can run it just on your computer with no internet connected, so nobody can possibly get the data that would decrypt your information.
Wow.
And so an idea would be like if you had a bunch of financials, or say you worked with like private consumer information, you just happen to keep it on your computer, like then obviously like you would like, I mean, depending on the type of information, it would have compliance.
Yeah.
Like if it's healthcare or something like that. But if it's just general information you just don't want anyone to see, just make sure that you can have that folder locked. You can still have access to it, but nobody else can. And that's kind of just the start of where I got kicked off. But then so that's currently in review with the App Store, which could be a couple more weeks, but we'll see how it goes with that.
And what is that called, so people can eventually go take a look?
Yeah, it's called Chaos Lock.
Chaos Lock, perfect.
And there's a page for it on my website as well. And then the other one I started working on that I'm waiting on for some other Apple approvals is an adaptive firewall. So what I was mentioning before about something that would be like, rather than me having to manually change my firewall when I'm working, it would basically be able to be intelligent enough to have an AI sit inside of it and learn how you behave and what you do. So it would intelligently block apps that you're not using until you need them again.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, so that's my next project. It's a little bit more in depth in terms of the computer capabilities that it needs. That's why I have to apply for different what they call entitlements in the Apple Store to get the access to be able to build it fully. That's in good progress. And then I've also since then, since I've been studying for my Security Plus certifications and doing all that stuff formally, I realized that a lot of the solutions to my problems that had occurred to me already do exist. They just didn't exist for me as a consumer or an individual or a small business owner. They exist within enterprise cybersecurity, but they're not available to people. And so I'm taking some of the concepts from enterprise security and applying them to build open source tools that can work in a way that I call network agnostic. So a lot of the tools are configured based on a really complicated setup with your network and your business stuff. This is taking that offline and making it simple so you can do what's called data loss prevention, or keeping people from taking data off your computer without your knowledge, in a way that doesn't require you to have all that extra bells and whistles. So the idea of it now is that it's got it's similar. It uses the chaos lock encryption method within it, but pretty much it allows you to protect your data. And so if anybody that's not using a registered device, it's like one of your machines that you know is yours, with that data set, it will just be automatically encrypted. Because the thing is that modern day encryption, or even at the enterprise level, they protect it well when it's called data at rest, meaning that it's not moving from your computer, it's just where it is. But when data is being transferred or data in transit, that's usually where it gets taken or stolen. So this is to protect data in transit, where if an attacker takes your data, so even if they get through your network and you don't have the best security, if they take your data off your computer, by the time it gets back to their computer, it's encrypted, they can't get into it. So it protects the files and the data while it's moving, regardless of what network it's on.
Wow, that's great. And I love the idea that it's going to, that you have an AI capability to help us, because sometimes we won't even know what apps are open or what's not, that we should disable, right? So at least we'll have that, and it will give us, regular people that don't really pay attention much to this, an opportunity to be smarter.
Yeah.
But you're right, everyone really needs to take this seriously, because as you said, these safety measures were set up for major corporations, not for the everyday person. And with AI excelling at the rate that it is, the systems that we have aren't able to keep up with that in order to educate people and in order to protect people.
Exactly. So I'm trying to make things that are able to fit people at different levels, but certainly, like, for me, I'm just trying to make it so it can be as automated as possible while still being effective. I think that with this type of thing, you always have to keep your eye on it a little bit, but the idea is to make it so that you can, like, not add too much more onto your workflow. It's more of like trying to make it so it's more of an upfront cost of time and effort rather than an ongoing thing as much. But I think the crux of it is just that what I realized is, like, there's a lot of really great systems in the industry that are set up to protect things. Like, they have bug bounty systems for regular apps, like most main apps like Google, Spotify, Amazon. They all have these things and they're great, but they're set up and they're run by cybersecurity researchers who are in the industry, and they're so embedded in the industry that they're not, they're probably not the people that, if I was a hacker, I'm not going to attack the fortress. I'm going to go after the little village outside the castle, right?
Right.
So
Right.
I think that what's been happening a lot is that there's a lot of attacks that are going on with everyday people that have generally insecure setups that is actually the gold that the researchers are looking for. Because I was able to identify significant amount of vulnerabilities that I reported to the major players, Amazon, Google, Facebook, Spotify, Apple, about different hacks that I've seen. And I, unfortunately, like the way that it is when they put out bug bounties, they want you to find a specific bug in a specific really small location of something. But I'm finding things that are like, okay, my Amazon Fire Stick attacked my phone to attack this app on my computer. And I can track the whole pattern of exactly how it happened with the data. But which team do I talk to about this? Do I talk to Amazon? Do I talk to Google? Do I talk to Android? Like, who do I talk to? Yeah. So I try to talk to all three, and it kind of becomes something where everyone's like like no one can really take clear responsibility because it's combining multiple aspects of different things. So I think that those are kind of the sweet spots where things are more vulnerable. And since I've done those reports, though I haven't gotten like credited with an official like bounty, so to speak, for my work, I have been credited with providing good information to those companies. They've marked, we've communicated, and they've marked my information as being, well received. And since I've submitted those things, a lot of the apps and issues that I had pointed out have now been patched and worked on and fixed.
Congratulations. That's wonderful. That has to feel really validating.
It does. It's weird because it's kind of like, I feel like I'm like Spider-Man or something, because it's like I'm like out there in the world, like, oh, I could have like saved you and you don't even know who I am. It's like, and I don't know who they are either, but or if I did, you know what I mean? It's kind of like this weird thing where I can feel this big change, this big effect that I've had on the world and the systems, but I can't really quantify it in any way. So it's kind of just like a weird place to be in. But I am super happy to know, like, I've made more impact this year than I made in 15 years in marketing, for sure. Because like I've, I'm not going to take all the credit. I'm sure there are other people that could have reported the same issues to make these companies move the mark on them. I'm not going to say like I'm the person.
Yeah.
Every single thing.
You, and you did it.
But there is a pattern, I could say, where it's like a few times in a row is kind of like, okay, maybe, we'll see. But like when it happens like 9 times, 10 times in a row with different situations of reports that have resulted in things happening, even at an international level, it's like, okay, I think I can at least say like, you can not give me credit, but like I can see the pattern of like me reporting things and the things getting done. So I know that I'm making an impact there, and that's important to me.
Well, that's wonderful. And not only are you making an impact by showing them what's going on, you're creating tools that will help, people like me who don't pay attention to that. And it just by you sharing this and sharing your experience, and I do feel we go through experiences to learn something, and then it's like, what do we do with it? You had to go through that experience, as much as of a pain in the see, having somebody come into your world and take your information is such an invasion. So for you to take that horribleness and go, okay, not only am I going to learn how to protect myself, but I want to share my story, and I want to create tools that will help other people protect themselves so that they don't go through the hell that I went through.
Yep, exactly. I'm hoping to be these hackers' biggest regret when they look back at their lives. They're like, why did we hack her?
We're getting you a cape, Hana.
Yeah, because they didn't know. They were like, oh, she's just some marketer. But it's like, oh, but I'm a programmer, a 10-year programmer, and search engine algorithms. It's like pretty abstract, but the algorithms actually made the AIs too. So that's the thing, is I studied technical SEO, which is analyzing Google bot behavior. So Google's AIs, pre-AI even, they had these bots that would go around the internet and organize things. And so my job was to build robots that emulated those robots, and to understand in depth how those robots would react to different changes in the internet ecosystem. And so the AI hackers, they have very similar patterns to those robots, because AI itself comes from that algorithm. It was invented as part of Google's algorithm originally. So I know like OpenAI is the original first creditor, but like they got it from a paper that Google published, and then it went back and forth a couple of years before they came out with theirs. So Google technically, I think, is still kind of the godfather of it.
Okay.
But the Yeah, and the thing is too, I ended up like, I think when you go through anything bad, you just have to figure out a way to make a positive out of it, and that's always been like my strong suit. So I ended up taking it as far as like writing songs about the hackers and like the way that they were attacking me, because I knew that they're probably like listening on my phone or like hearing, who knows. So I just figured I'll play you music about how I beat you again, and like
Oh,
be able to really like rub it in, because
yeah. You definitely have like a, excuse my friend, but it seems like you have that, fuck you, I'm a badass. You want to try and take me down. Bullshit. I'm coming back fighting.
Yeah, it was good because I would get so specific with like the details of every single thing that happened. But yeah, I mean, I've got like a 30-song album now. But
Oh my God, that's awesome.
yeah, and it's pseudo AI, so it's not like
Yeah.
I'm doing full production on everyone. I'm learning
Yeah.
music production, but it was still like it's fun to just like, I think writing lyrics out about bad things and
Yeah.
just like being able to write like a fuck you, like I'm
Yeah.
get my lick back on, like, or not like lick back, but I'm gonna assert myself in the situation in the way that makes me feel better. It was really cathartic to just like write down your feelings, have like be able
Yeah.
to sing them at the top of your lungs. You know what I
For
mean? So,
sure. I just did that. So I had previously, I've written a book, and it's kind of like, memoir, and it's all this other stuff. But I wanted something, I wanted to share my story, my, like, because I have that FU
yeah,
fighter, watch me type attitude, right? I'm really resilient and stubborn, and I'm going to build a business. And if you don't like it, I'm a badass queen, whatever. So I did the same thing, and I created a song, Watch Me Rise, and that is my anthem, and that's what I use for my, for my social media and for the podcast and all of that. But it's that, watch me rise, we're a badass queen, try
yeah.
to break us down, it ain't happening. But it's
It,
fun to listen to, like you said. It just like, oh, it gets me going, like put my gloves on.
yeah, I was always joking that like I'm like saving these for like the soundtrack to the Netflix series is what I would
There
always
you
say. I'm like, I'm just planning ahead. But
Yes.
I think, yeah, a lot of it's really like I think it's just that people just don't realize that there is a bigger system at play also, and like what's going on here. And I know like the AI is part of it, but unfortunately a lot of it also is like certain types of countries that are, more prone to do these types of attacks. And recently there was the big crackdown in the country Georgia, which is a pretty right-wing authoritarian kind of country. Or I mean, I guess like they have that, like, that's a little bit more of the I guess like the criminal base is like a little bit more right wing over there, I guess is what I would put it.
Okay.
So they found that there was people working in their government that were in their cybersecurity department of their government that were working with these criminals in these groups in their country. And so it's like, that's the thing, is you're not just going up against like individual hackers or individual scammer groups. It's like you're going up against countries with this stuff.
Wow.
It's really like a serious prevalent problem. I went to a federal conference in the fall. There was like Department of Homeland Security, Secret Service, FBI, CIA, like all sorts of people there. And one of the speakers keynote spoke about how she had been doing this investigation in Myanmar in southern Asia, and basically like China had been setting up these projects where they bring people in against their will and make them work at these scam farms in these buildings. And that infrastructure is kind of like quadrupled over the last 2 years. So like at an industry level, the community is definitely like anticipating what's coming. I think it's just that there isn't public disclosure, or like there hasn't been enough information going on about it, like at an individual level, probably because they're focusing on the business side of the industry and the federal side of the industry and like the high level stuff. So they're not looking at the boots on the ground individuals.
Right.
And that's where
the big infrastructure. They're worried about, let's protect our power plants. Let's protect our electricity grid. Let's protect. Yeah.
As they should. I mean,
As
like,
they should. Yes.
yeah,
Yes.
like what just happened with Verizon, like we don't know what happened there.
Right.
So,
Right.
that's important that they keep priority on that. But I'm trying to take priority of where the industry hasn't really ever prioritized, which is like the individual experience.
Yeah. Oh, I'm so glad that you are. I'm like, so, and that's the thing, what I love is that this is bringing light to this is another facet of our health and our journey that we should all be on. Because a lot of us focus on, we have our financial health and we have our physical health and we have like different things that we want to focus on. This will get pushed. This was something that most people weren't even having a conversation about. So hopefully this will make people more aware and want to make, a couple of changes. If they could only make like one or two changes, like what do you think would be the top things that they should really do to protect themselves initially?
Well, I mean, it's cliche, but like take serious note of your passwords. There's these tools called pass keys, which is from a company called UBI.
What was I'm sorry, what was that?
Sorry, not you. YUBI.
Okay.
And they're on Amazon. You can get them. I think they're like $20-$30. They're not crazy expensive, but you can get that. You can use that as a replacement for your passwords for different things, and it's stored only on that device. And so essentially it is a really good way to make your passwords more secure so that you don't have to enter them. Like basically if I get a new phone and I want to set up my email with it, I don't even have to know my password of my email. Like I have all mine set to like randomization when I set them up, but I don't even like they're saved somewhere on my computer in a secure location, but like I don't even have to type my password into my phone. I can just connect my little thing into the phone, and then I already have it set up in my account to accept that as a replacement for my password. So a lot of the big companies like Google and Microsoft, etc., are embracing this technology, and it is part of their system already. So you can set it up like you can do a pass key on your computer using your fingerprint with the scanner. Same idea. It's just that you're doing it on a device that is external, doesn't stay attached to your computer. You can just put it in when you need it, take it out when you don't. So again, that's a really good first step. And then
Thank you for that. That's huge because I can't remember my passwords to save my life. And so and I'm so scared of where to put the list of passwords because I don't want it to be hacked or stolen.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and it depends on like your preferences too. Like I think the other thing is just like paying attention. Like a lot of the different like things like Apple, etc., they have like you can see what devices are logged into your account with the backend. So I think just like pay attention to those things. Like check and see like is there a weird thing like logged into my account that isn't normal. Another good thing is like there's a new I'm plugging so many third-party companies that I'm not sponsored for, I promise, but another one is Incogni, Incogni. They remove your internet or your data from the internet. It's a cost-based service, but it's not crazy expensive, and they will remove everything. So that's the other part, is really just getting your data off, because the hackers will use like anything online that you have as social engineering tools to profile you and figure out how they want to psychologically like trick you into giving them information or giving them access. So not knowing exactly what data of yours is out there is really good to help with that. And if you ever do run into people that are asking weird questions, give them the wrong answers or don't respond.
Right.
Like, it depends on how aggressive you want to be. Like I'll string them along for a while because I'm like trying to get information from them too. It's like we're playing Mr. and Mrs. Smith, but I think that's the two main things I would say. And then the other one would be like starting to collect your logs and just like paying attention to those things. And if you have anything weird happen on your computer, like say your Mac had like after this call, you want to know like why did my internet cut out? Like your diagnostics, your Spotlight, it'll have the last 24 hours worth of data. And then you can load that into, there's a tool called Windsurf, WINDSURF. If you wanted to like analyze those further, but honestly, I think it's just gathering the data. And then for now, I'd say probably like send it to somebody who has a secure AI where they can review it. Right now, that's still an AI that works with internet connection. I'm working on a new system. This is another tool I'm building because again, I'm always seeing like all the problems that I was anticipating people having trying to use my system. So I'm working on an offline AI analyzer tool that will allow you to analyze these specific things without being connected to the internet. And that would be the most secure way to handle it.
Wow, that's fantastic. Now, do you share any of these tips online?
Yeah, so I've got a YouTube channel, which is at AI Marketing Flow, and GitHub, same thing. There's open source tools on there. Some of them are in different levels of advancedness as I was sort of building out and developing my skills of how I wanted to build things over the year. But
Yeah.
there the idea with the open source is like if another security person just like needs this system and they want to do something custom with it, there's so many people vibe coding these days and building their own variations of things. So it's kind of like if you wanted to take it and just take a piece of what I have and just put it into your own thing, that's the idea with the open source tools. But I am going to be making like whether or not it goes through the App Store or direct release, I will be having these things available shortly, hopefully in the next, like by the end of Q1 for sure, at least one of them out.
Awesome.
And then the idea is I'm going to be doing more educational speaking as well, like with my YouTube channel. I've tried to like record hacks in real time. I have a couple of them from the summer from last year, but it's really tough because you're like, I'm trying to be like, okay, on my phone, this happened here, and then this happened over here, and this happened over here. So it's hard to record that, but
Yeah.
I've been trying to document that, and I'm hopefully going to be putting out like a book at some point because I've got about 30 to 40 case studies from the last year of different things that I ran into, exactly how I found them, how they happened, how I stopped them. And yeah, I think in general, like I'm going to just be putting out as much information as I can to try to make it easier for people to just know what's going on and, stay informed. Cybersecurity is no joke. Even like me, I'm like I said, 10-year programmer, been in tech for 15 years. I'm very tech savvy, but like, yeah, cybersecurity is no joke. There's a lot that goes into it. It can be pretty complicated, but I'm going to do my best to continue to push forward on these products that will allow it to be easier for people. Yeah. And also I also have there's a series of checklists on my website right now that you can click into, and they're for each type of device: Android, Mac, Windows, iPhone. And you can just like quick tips of like things that you do just generally. They're not it's not like that's going to be 100% secure, but it's like just to get your feet off the ground. Because the other thing with the AI hackers is that say they send out like a army of bots to attack like 100,000 people. If you and 100,000 people have defaults and 90,000 people have default settings, but you're in the group of 10,000 that has changed your settings a little bit and added just a couple features, you might get swept over in that first round. You know what I'm saying? Like we don't exactly know how all these attacks and things are going to go out. So just trying to differentiate yourself has really been like the game changer for me. So when I worked in tech SEO, my job was to make things as crawlable as possible for Googlebot, being like I had to build websites, help people build websites that were every spec that the bot would need to make it so it could read it. That was my job to make sure that happened. This is the opposite. So what I learned is that if you make your system really weird, it's more difficult for people. And that can be something as simple as using special characters in your file names that don't exist, like outside your computer, an emoji or something, because they're small things, but those little details of just changing yourself, being a little weird, a little out there, however you feel like doing it, that's going to make a difference when it's an automated attack like that.
That is brilliant. And again, what's your YouTube channel so people can grab these resources?
Yeah, it's at AI Marketing Flow.
Perfect. At AI Marketing Flow. Anything else you want to share? Go ahead.
Yeah, last thing. So I am rebranding. I'm in the process of rebuilding my website and stuff right now for AIMF Security. Luckily for me, my brand business name is AIMF, not AI Marketing Flow, so I can just change my acronym.
Okay.
That site's going to be launched soon, and at the time, the social handles will probably change then. But for now, just refer to those. But be looking out for that, and some more content I'll be dropping on the apps and the case studies, hopefully sooner than later. So.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for sharing. You are a wealth of knowledge. Everyone that's listening, please go follow Hana. Check out her YouTube station. If you have questions and you need some help, please, obviously, she is brilliant and she really is truly wanting to help everyone from the bottom of her heart. So none of us have to go through the hell that she did. So thank you, Hana. I really appreciate your time.
Of course. course, thank you so much for having me and helping me get the word out. So.
Fantastic. Everyone, stay tuned for the next Unapologetically Badass. Make sure you like and follow this show and comment and share this with a friend, because everyone needs to know more about how they can protect themselves. Thank you again, everyone. Wrap for today, Queen, but don't just walk away inspired, walk away activated. If this episode lit a fire under your fabulous ass, hit that follow button, leave a review, and share it with your fiercest ride or die. Your support helps this podcast reach even more women who are ready to reclaim their power. And hey, if you're ready to look, feel, and earn like $1 million freaking bucks, I've got an entire badass empire waiting for you. From confidence boosting merch to brand strategy, coaching, collagen, content, and everything in between, head on over to reneecarbonefleming.com or tap the link in the show notes. Pick your flavor of badass and let's turn midlife into your power era. Stay bold, stay unapologetic, and wear the damn crown.